What's up, everybody? It's Josh coming at you from Nerd Vengers Sour. Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes 1 and 2 have officially dropped, and I want to give you my thoughts, my breakdown on the episodes. Now, before we get into that, I do want to make mention of the fact that we missed our watch party last night because about an hour before midnight, Lucasfilm decided to release the episodes early on Disney Plus. And I, living on the East Coast, and like many others on the East Coast, was already asleep in preparation for waking up early to do a watch party with my community and watch the episodes. And I'm going to be honest, I got up at about 1 o'clock. It was right like in between, or about 2 hours before we were going to do the watch party. I thought about doing the watch party, but there were already people watching it. I really wanted to watch it and give my thoughts. And it was really frustrating. I know that some people maybe can't relate to this, or they don't think that it was one of the like a super big deal or whatnot, right? But for me, it's just another example of Lucasfilm being really out of step with the way that people engage with their content, and I have no problem with the episodes coming out early. In fact, I think midnight Eastern Standard Time is when all of these episodes should drop. I think that would be much better just in general. But to do that with almost no warning whatsoever definitely threw me off, and I found myself furious actually last night. And so I watched the episodes initially, but then I wanted to rewatch them this morning when I was a little less angry, because if I'm being honest with you guys, my anger last night did influence how I viewed the show, and I didn't enjoy the first 2 episodes my first watch through the way that I probably should have, and the way that I ultimately did the following day. Now, I'm really happy to report that after watching them for the second time when I was in a much better mood, I absolutely loved these episodes. Like, loved them, and I think there's a ton of fun Star Wars stuff here, but there are several buts when it comes to the show, and I guess the bottom flat point line for me is that the show is not the masterpiece that I was hoping it was going to be, and perhaps this is just something with me where I've got to stop expecting every new Star Wars project to hit that Empire Strikes Back level, or, you know, just that sort of masterful stroke kind of a thing, because this show is definitely not a masterpiece, at least not so far, and there's some unevenness with the 2 episodes. But let's first talk about the positives. Let's talk about the things I absolutely loved in the first 2 episodes. I think number 1 for me will be Leia. I absolutely love the way they portray Leia as a young girl. She's a fantastic character, and I think with, you know, child actors in general, there's a lot of just not good stuff out there, right? Like, child actors can often be really annoying and not act well. And I think that Leia, and whoever this actress is, she's doing a phenomenal job in the show, and she really has some incredible scenes with different actors. I find some of the scenes with her and her mother to be very good. Her scenes with Jimmy Schmitz and Bail Organa are amazing, and there's even some scenes with her and Kenobi that I just genuinely loved. I felt like my heart was warm, and like just that sort of comfort that I think great Star Wars moments can bring to you, and it really warmed my heart, and I felt like she was so good, and they did an incredible job with Leia Organa. I also think that Bail Organa, like, damn, dude, Jimmy Schmitz absolutely brought it in these 2 episodes. He is incredible. He has such heartwarming scenes with Leia. And then the scene where he comes to Tatooine and talks to Ewan McGregor. I mean, look, I had heard about that scene. It's in the leaks and everything like that. And I just couldn't have imagined in a million years that the scene actually would hit me the way that it did. Schmitz is incredible in the scene. It's so emotional and impactful when he's talking about how this really isn't about the boy. It's about your failures. And yeah, you couldn't save Anakin, but you could save her. And he genuinely has such a love for Leia. It's coming across beautifully in the scenes. I think Ewan McGregor was fan-freaking-tastic in these episodes. He does very sad, you know, very depressed Obi-Wan really, really well. He's fantastic in the few moments where he goes like a little bit alpha, you know, when he's fighting the people and asking where Leia's at. He's able to really balance the sort of confidence and the power of an old Jedi, but also have the very broken status that he currently has on Tatooine, and even when he's going to rescue Leia. Like, yeah, this is a pretty broken down individual. I absolutely love the way they utilized actual footage from the prequels, not only in the little intro scene, but then when Kenobi is having the nightmares. I felt like it was fantastic. Whatever effect they use on the scenes and the footage from the prequels was phenomenal, and it really felt organic to the actual episode while having a ton of fun flavor from prequel era content. The opening scene at the Jedi Temple, amazing, incredible, really, really well done. I love the camera angles, the different choices there. Seeing all of these Jedi and seeing the real scope of the temple was really impressive and a great way to start this whole series. The pacing of the episodes is phenomenal. The first episode is particularly strong as we continue to see the daily routine of Kenobi sort of anchored by that almost whistling of a train sound and the steam engine sound that this factory or this place where he's harvesting the meat from that creature, that is such a brilliant device to sort of re-anchor his daily routine. And we see him do different things throughout that first episode, but we kind of keep coming back to the mundane nature of his existence and the little pleasures that he takes, like, taking the meat to his camel horse thing. Uncle Owen, so good in the show, like very phenomenal, a strong force when he's in the scene with Reva, when he's in the scene with Kenobi. It's all really, really good stuff. The action is absolutely phenomenal, dude. I love the action. Kenobi going John Wick with the blasters. I even love when he's having the blaster up to Kamal in that scene. Like, it's just really, really phenomenal stuff. The rooftop sequence was awesome. Reva's, jumping around, and when she's going on the rooftops is phenomenal. I would say one of the things the show does so well, and this is such an important thing for a show like this, is it nails the feeling of Star Wars. The show does feel like an extension of the prequels, and seeing different Easter egg fun stuff like Tamara Morrison actually being a broken down clone trooper, that scene is so good, man. It hits you, and you see on the face of Ewan just all of that history and trauma while he's looking at this old beaten down clone trooper. I think, honestly, the way the characters are portrayed is on point. It feels like an extension of the prequels while also coming to meet Ewan and Obi-Wan at this really peculiar time where he is ultimately really, really broken down. I mean, he's beyond the reluctant hero. He doesn't even think he is that guy anymore. It's pretty obvious that he hasn't really used the Force much at all in the past 10 years. He's trying to reach out to Qui-Gon, but he is unable to reach him. He's having nightmares and thinking constantly about Anakin and his failure with his old friend. And this all leads to the end of episode 1, where the lady at the public transport is asking him if he's going to come or not. And then he actually finally steps into the role of being Obi-Wan again, and we see the lightsaber on his hip. It is absolutely fantastic. So my overall thoughts on the show are that it's very strong. Obviously, Deborah Chow's prowess as an incredible director and a lot of love and care is on display here for these first 2 episodes. I think they're very good, and I'm very excited to see where episode 3 takes us, as I do believe it was a brilliant move to release the first 2 episodes right together so that then you can have a ton of context in building up for the events and the characters in this story while also getting that massive tease for Vader. And I will say that the end of episode 2, where he reaches out to Anakin within the Force and Anakin feels him, that is so well directed and edited, and it just created such a cool vibe. The way the sound is like fading away and there's this horror vibe building as Anakin, or as Obi-Wan is thinking about reaching out for Anakin within the Force, and then when he does, and you cut to Hayden Christensen in like a bacta tank or whatever as Vader just standing there. I mean, it was incredible. It was really, really well done, and I cannot wait to see episode 3. So, kudos to them in a lot of different ways. I think this is a great success. But, of course, I wouldn't be doing my duty as a Star Wars fan if I didn't complain about a ton of little things that bothered me way too much. I found the Inquisitors to be the worst part of the show, and I don't think any of them look good. And the writing for all of the characters feels wildly out of place when you compare it to the rest of the show. Like, when they first come to Tatooine and they're messing around in the bar, like, it's kind of a fun scene with the Grand Inquisitor being, the Grand Inquisitor. But then what happens after that is so weird. Like, Reva pushing the limits, figuring out where the Jedi is at, and they don't run after him, even after injuring him. And Like, I just don't understand why they didn't go after him there. I also really don't understand why all of the Inquisitors, except for Reva, are trying to hold back, seemingly not injure people and not kill Jedi. Like, it just feels like a really weird writing choice to have Reva wanting to kill these Jedi, the Grand Inquisitor stopping her, and then the fifth brother getting mad at her for wanting to threaten citizens. Like, he just wants to reward them or whatever. And then they have this really weird back and forth in the back alley, and it's all about her obsession with Kenobi, which is never actually explained. And I really don't understand the hierarchy or how all of this is going down in general. Like, Reva is doing all this stuff, working with these other bounty hunters and doing this behind the back of the Grand Inquisitor, and yet he becomes aware enough, fast enough to get to Daiyu. That whole part of the story with them, which of course leads to Reva talking about how Anakin Skywalker is Vader to Kenobi and then stabbing the Grand Inquisitor. Like, it just all feels wildly out of touch and out of step with the rest of what is going on in the show. Like, it's bad to me. It's also pretty obvious that they don't care about canon much. I mean, they're breaking it like a lot already. Leia, being the brilliant young girl that she is, would obviously put together that that's Obi-Wan, with people yelling at him Obi-Wan, including Kumail's character and Reva. I'm not quite sure why Obi-Wan has no idea that Vader is around, and yet the whole galaxy seems to know exactly what the Inquisitors are and what they're doing. I still have no idea how Nari was able to uncover that Obi-Wan was on Tatooine. Like, I just don't get it, like, at all. But honestly, like, here's my thing about this, right? Like, I don't like it, but I'm trying not to let it just take all the enjoyment away from the show, which again, I do like quite a bit. I think these two episodes are very strong, but I think it just kind of reaffirms my belief that Lucasfilm and Star Wars needs to really get away from, you know, going back and telling all of these different stories, because in order to tell a compelling story and in order to make compelling television, you are going to have to break canon. I acknowledge that. I think that's actually really fair, but I don't know. I don't know how much more of it I'm actually here for. And I mean, as far as Reva, like, here's the thing. I actually think it's a very well performed character. Like, I think Moses is actually killing it and bringing a lot to this character. I genuinely like the performance. I think it's great. I just think that it's misplaced by injecting this character into this story. It's muddling up how I view and how I thought about the Inquisitors. Her import is definitely being elevated for some weird reason. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's her in the Jedi Temple at the beginning of the show, and perhaps something is going to happen with exactly why she's really obsessed with Kenobi, which, you know, could be fine, but for her to be working so independently and being so much more adept than all the other Jedi hunting Inquisitors feels weird. And for her to betray the Grand Inquisitor and stab, seemingly killing him, I know everybody's saying like, oh, he's not actually dead, and I don't think he's dead either, but I think that's going to be quite the awkward next briefing if they're all in the room together and Reva literally stabbed this dude in the chest. So I think ultimately I really like these episodes. I'm glad this show exists. I hope that the rest of the episodes are executed in a way that doesn't really drive a wedge into the fandom, and I think that it's possible that both scenarios happen. Like, it's possible that it's handled really, really well throughout the rest of the series and we walk away mostly being really satisfied with the show, but I also think it's possible that they really mess this up and do some things towards the end of the show that are really going to divide fans, but I guess we just have to wait and see. I would say, you know, so far, I would probably say episode 1, 9 out of 10, episode 2, probably an 8 out of 10 for me, but overall, very good, very strong start to Kenobi, and I'm really excited for episode 3. So those are my thoughts. I'm sure you have some of your own, so why don't you let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I do want to say we will be streaming over on our live streaming channel, not only next week for the watch party, which I think will be at the regular time, but we will be streaming on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to be breaking down the Mando Plus panel, rumors that maybe you'll get some Thrawn casting announcement and maybe some new, you know, kind of shows teased out for the future of the Mandoverse, so look out for that as well.